Go? You ready, Craig? All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Merrillville Redevelopment Commission special meeting for Tuesday, December 13th at 6 o'clock. Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mr. Hardaway. Ms. Uselak.
Here.
I am here. Mr. Pettit.
Here.
5 and a quorum, sir.
Have a quorum. There's not a consent agenda because this is a special meeting. We'll do that at the 27th. Under old business, we have Pat, the Holiday Property second draw of Merrillville bond, continued discussion.
Yes, sir. We've continued. We defined as Economic Development Director Chilcott, myself, and our outside financial consultant, Bob Swentz, have conversation with Holiday Properties, led by Doug Hunt, about drawing down on the next portion of the original $4 million TIF bond. We are in the process of going through a list of expense items that they want to use those dollars for. There's also some discussion about perhaps accessing the additional anticipated or remaining $2 million plus of TIF. We expect to have information prepared and presented in form, likely resolution form, for the Commission's consideration at the 27th meeting.
Okay. Just as a refresher to the RDC members, we did the $4.1 million bond issue, which is backed by Holiday Properties. So after we get our draw, Pat and Kelly pay the debt service on the existing debt that's in the Broadway TIF. Whatever's left over, Holiday gets that money toward that $4.1 million. They bought the bond and they backed it. It's a little bit different setup. They used the first part of it to put in Massachusetts and 96th in front of Amazon. If you folks have been down in my neck of the woods, you know that Williams Eye Care is under construction in front of Amazon, as well as the spec building that Jace Murray is building on the north side of 96th Avenue out at Ameriplex. So we continue to have development down in the park in Joe and my neighborhood. Right, neighbor?
Correct, neighbor.
All right. Under new business, we have a letter from Steve. Steve, you want to go through the letter for us?
Sure. So I've reviewed the engineering agreement provided by Butler, Fairman, and Seifert regarding construction inspection services for our CNO Trail Phase 3 project. Found the agreement to be fair and complete, and I'm recommending to the RDC and the council to approve this agreement in the amount not to exceed $154,000. Then also the project's going to be funded through the Merrillville Road, Broadway, and Mississippi Street TIF districts. I've also reviewed the engineering agreement provided by Butler, Fairman, and Seifert regarding the town's PASER rating evaluation for 2023 and 24, and I found the agreement to be fair and complete. Therefore, I recommend that the RDC and the council approve the agreement in the amount not to exceed $22,500, and this project's going to be funded through the wheel tax.
Okay, thank you, Steve. The immediate question comes to mind, Mr. Svetnoff. Two different funds, two different dollar amounts. When someone makes a motion, should we split these and vote on them separately?
I would say yes.
All right, thank you. All right, any questions for Steve from commission members? Nobody? You're going to let Steve off the hook that easy?
Well, figures sound good.
The figures sound good. Yeah, that letter there, Leonard.
I do have
Yep.
some questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm looking here in this, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying that this project would be funded through the town's wheel tax fund?
The PASER ranking of the streets for 23 and 24 will be.
Okay.
That's where we rank the streets from each ward, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best.
Okay.
And now we've done, Steve, what have we paved in all 7 wards now that Rich and I are done this year? We've gotten the 1s and 2s?
Yeah, we did the 1s and 2s from 21 and 22 over the past couple of years. We've spent, close to $10 million over the last 2 years getting the streets up to, the worst ones up to snuff.
Oh, okay. I just misread when it said this project would be funded through the town.
Oh.
I misread. Okay.
Any
That
other
kinda-
questions for Steve? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
You can't say so moved.
Motion moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uselak, seconded by Mr. Hardaway to approve the letter for engineering recommendations by Steve King for Butler, Fairman, and Seifert for the C&O Trail. $154,000 should be paid out of the 3 TIF districts, and also the Pazer rating system to be paid out of the wheel tax for $22,500. If I could ask Mrs. Uselak, can you amend your motion
Right.
for just the trail?
Okay, I will amend my motion just for the trail.
Richard, does your second?
C&O trail.
Your second stands? Okay, so this is just for the C&O for $154,000.
Okay.
Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. White,
Yes?
Mr. Hardaway. Ms. Uselak,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Pettit,
Yes.
you have 5 yeses, sir.
Motion carries 5-0. Next, the Chair will entertain a motion on approving Butler Fairman, or is it Butler, Fairman, and Seifert doing the Pazer as well, Steve?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hiring Butler, Fairman, and Seifert to do the town's Pazer rating evaluation for 22 and 23 to be paid out of the wheel tax for $22,500.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway, seconded by Mrs. Uselak for the Pazer evaluation. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, roll call.
Mr. White,
Aye.
Mr. Hardaway. Ms. Uselak,
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Pettit,
Yes.
you have 5 yeses.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Resolution 22-83, which is a resolution of the Merrillville Redevelopment Commission approving a proposed tax abatement, 86 Place Partners LLC. This comes with a positive recommendation just recently from the Merrillville Economic Development Committee. We had a meeting before this. This is a 10-year abatement for a new project off of 86th Place between the new buildings that were built on Mississippi by Mr. Bartley and the First Image Laundry Facility. Again, Margie, I reminded Jeff that you and I and he saw this subdivision split at the Plan Commission, and now Al has asked for tax abatement on these buildings. So with that being said, Pat, do you want to fill in my blanks?
Sure. So the project description is, construction of 4 warehouse buildings, approximately 8,000 square foot each, totaling 33,000 square feet. It needed for storage and distribution. Land to be used or developed is roughly 2.5 acres. So from a cost, jobs, and wage perspective, the total project is approximately $3 million. Anticipation is 1 to 2 tenants per building, up to 8 new relocated and/or I should say relocated businesses, creating 64 new permanent jobs and representing a new annual payroll of $55,000 per job. The recommended tax abatement schedule is 10 years. The net benefit to the town is the town generates 2/3 new tax revenue, while the project owner receives a third benefit.
Okay. Any questions for Pat or Al Bartley? Al's in the audience. If anyone has any questions for Al.
Motion for resolution 22-83.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk, seconded by Mr. Hardaway. I will, through the chair, Joe, just bring to everyone's attention, and I think Al's aware of this, with an economic incentive, Al, it's either union jobs or a project labor agreement with Randy Palmatier and the building trades. Mr. Minchuk, can you amend your motion to that, just so it's in the record, Joe?
Amended as said.
One of the conditions will be a PLA or union labor. Mr. Hardaway, is your second stand?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Seeing any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, roll call.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yep.
Ms. Easlak?
Yes,
I am a yes. Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
We have 5 yeses, sir.
5, motion carries. All right, the next item is, we talked about this item at our last workshop, which is a resolution of the Town of Merrillville Redevelopment Commission approving an agreement for educational and training program within the Merrillville Community School Corporation. We have the resolution whereby we will be taking $400,000 off the top of our TIF draw townwide that we receive in January. January and July, Pat, do we get them, or
Roughly,
June?
yes.
Into June, July?
Right.
We discussed this in our workshop a couple of weeks ago. Mr. White had some questions about the project funding. It's related to the establishment of a truancy court, the funding for an access road at Filer, and funding for the CTE, which is the construction program at the high school. So with that, Pat, did I miss anything?
No, you did not.
Okay. Is there any question of commission members on Resolution 2285?
Mr. President,
Yes.
when we was at the committee meeting, actually, the amount that we talked about in the committee meeting was $350,000. Did somehow or another that get changed from somewhere?
That was a recommendation, I believe, Pat, from Dr. Brown?
That's correct.
Well, he's gonna make a recommendation, but we're the council. So when we discuss things in committee, then we shouldn't let Mr. Brown just come and say, well, don't give me 350,000, give me 400,000.
You know, I mean, that's your choice, Leonard. I'm not going to quabble over $50,000 for the schools. I mean, it's
I'll
just,
quabble.
well,
We
that's,
gotta look out for taxpayers' dollars here. It's not just like throwing away 50 grand. It's costing taxpayers something.
it's going to the schools.
Schools have their own dollars. They got,
Again,
I think we discussed it. I'm not against the thing, but we gotta stick to what we say in committee meetings. That's probably why we need to actually have, minutes taken in these committee meetings. Because I just think that with the school system having $185 million in ARP funds, and then we turn around and give them $400,000.
well, keep in mind, Leonard, keep in mind, again, by state law, if they wanted to, they could come back and not ask. They could demand 15% of our TIF draw every year.
Absolutely.
They're being very cooperative and
Right.
very understanding about this.
Right.
And that's why as a president, I'm extending the olive branch to them and to Boys and Girls Club.
So
It's times we got to quit quabbling over, we got to look out for the taxpayers. Keep in mind, this is TIF dollars. These are mostly businesses, except for myself, because my tax bill goes into the Mississippi Street TIF district. These are developers that are giving this money. It's not, with all due respect, it's not anyone in Rich's ward, it's not anyone in Jeff's ward, it's not anyone in Margie's ward, it's barely some people in your ward and Rick and my ward. So,
no, the reason I was
you know.
saying that, Sean, was based on the fact that you said they can come back and sue us. Well, we probably should have given them dollars up front. If they're owed this money, as you're saying, we should have probably given them dollars up front.
no, they sign off on it so that we can do the projects in the TIF district that benefit them. The two biggest things that they did, when Rick was on the council the first time, they established Merrillville Road in Mississippi to improve Merrillville Road for transportation purposes. The school understood how important that was. That's why they signed off. The township signed off. The county signed off. That's where we receive 100% of the money. Same thing with Mississippi Street. We needed another north-south alternative that when I-65 backs up, the school saw the importance of doing that project, so they signed off on the Mississippi Street TIF. So, you know, again, I hear what you're saying. You know, we did talk about 350 in the workshop. It came back at 400. If I'm not mistaken, the email went out, didn't it, Pat?
Yes, it did.
So everybody that's got email got this notice already. So you should have gotten the email and notice that he was asking for 400.
Pat,
So-
you didn't get that email to me.
I'll-
That's why I asked these questions.
Okay.
If I don't have information in front of me, then how can I make a?
I'll check our files, but I do recall sending the email out with the with the draft development agreement that's referenced as the exhibit here.
Okay. All right, Mr. President, that's it.
Any other questions for this petition? This resolution, excuse me?
No questions.
No questions?
No.
All right, seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion for the resolution RDC 2285 to be approved.
I'll second it for discussion.
All right. Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. Minchuk for discussion.
I'm showing that email did go out 5 days ago, and Mr. White is on the receiving list.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns?
Yeah, with our discussions before with the TIF money, and it's coming out of Sean Pettit's ward and Rick's ward, I think we already went over that. And we will provide the 400,000 per year per our discussion.
Mr. President, I understand it come from you guys' ward, but that's all of Maryville's money. It's not just.
Yeah,
ward.
it is all Maryville's
Right,
money,
right.
but
So TIF districts,
it's their
because they're,
ward.
yeah, but they don't own TIF districts, Marge.
Well-
Excuse me.
No, we don't,
TIF
no.
districts belong to the entire,
Right.
because we don't, the citizens are the one that has to pay back TIF districts. When
So
we,
what are you saying, Leonard?
well, excuse me, basically what I'm saying is that you just made the statement that that's their ward, so it deserves to be, because the money's coming from their area, but it belongs to the entire town of Maryville.
I understand.
But you're
that.
not, your taxpayers in your area are not paying on the debt service for these bonds, for these TIF districts. It's only the property owners in the districts that we get 100% of the money. We don't get 100% of your tax. When you go to pay your tax bill, Leonard, we don't get 100% of your tax bill. We get 15%. You get 100% of my tax bill because I'm in the Mississippi Street TIF district, okay? So it's those people in those TIF districts are paying the bonds. They're paying the debt service. It's not, people out in Margie's area or in your area, certain area. Now, you've got Menards. You've got north of the tracks from me. So those people, you have a portion in the Mississippi Street TIF district, yes.
That's all I'm saying basically is that, it has to be not belonging to one ward.
Right, it's not.
No, I
Okay.
understand
It's
that,
not.
but I made the motion because the taxpayers in their ward are paying for it, and I understand that with the TIF money. So there is a motion and a second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any other comment? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, roll call.
Mr. White,
Aye.
Mr. Hardaway? Yep. Ms. Uzelak?
Yes,
I'm a yes, Mr. Pettit.
Yes.
You have 5 yeses, sir.
Motion carries 5-0. Is there any other business, Patrick?
No, sir, there is not.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
so moved. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. Hardaway. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's it, Craig. Where'd Craig go? Is Craig hiding behind his cabinet?